Can everybody get it?
Eva's behind that. We got it. Put it up there.
Okay.
We got you.
Imagine with me that you're 15 years old, your mom just left a rocky marriage, and you and your brother are living with your grandmother. You're sleeping on one air mattress and have a set of clothes apiece. Your mom is on disability, and so money is tight. You get up one morning and get ready for school. You look around for something to eat, and you find a box of cereal. There's enough in it for one person, so you pour yourself a bowl. But then you realize your brother needs to eat too, so you give him the bowl of cereal. There's an apple on the counter, so you take it and you go on to school. Around lunchtime, you realize you don't have any money for lunch, and so your friend is kind enough to share her lunch with you. Then, when you get home, you start on homework and you realize that you're unable to focus and you're really tired. So you look around at the empty cabinets and the empty fridge, but you find a snack cake and you begin to eat it, and you feel better. Dinner time rolls around, and your mom wakes up from bed and says to order a pizza. So you order a pizza, and then the pizza is delivered, and your mom says that you have to make this last for a few days. This is a story of a family that experienced food insecurity. This story is not a rare story here in America. In fact, 1 in 7 children have lived or are living in this situation. In fact, this story is close to home because this 15-year-old was me. I was a 15-year-old that went every day for 2 years not knowing when my food was coming or where it was coming from. In our time that will follow, I will provide information needed for us to understand the crisis that America is facing, to help us understand why it is important for Christians to lead in this epidemic and how we can impact the fight against childhood hunger. Let's take a closer look at this important issue. Childhood hunger is an epidemic in America. Hunger in America is defined as any household that experiences food insecurity. This is defined as any households being uncertain to having enough food to meet the needs of all persons in a household. The statistics of this food insecurity in America is astounding. The United States Department of Agriculture reported that 11.1% of American households experienced food insecurity at some point in 2018. This breaks down to 14.3 million Americans. And out of that 14.3 million Americans, 12 million of them are children. In 2018, 22 million children received free lunches or reduced lunches at school. Childhood hunger also affects a child's mental and physical health. Children facing hunger are more likely to struggle academically. This is because of their inability to focus and their lack of attendance because of illnesses caused to malnutrition. According to an article in Health Affairs, food insecurity has been associated with an increased risk of birth defects, anemia, asthma, and poor oral health. They also may experience developmental impairments in areas such as motor skills and language skills. Childhood hunger has been associated with links to depression, suicide ideation, aggression, anxiety, and behavioral problems. As such, part of our solution to this epidemic is to understand that God implores his people to value the lives of others by coming together to help. As believers, we are mandated to help those that are without. Zechariah 7:9-10 says, "This is what the Lord Almighty said. Administer true justice, show mercy and compassion to one another. Do not oppress the widow or the fatherless, the foreigner or the poor." We are to also show mercy and compassion just as Jesus did. Mark 8:2 says, "I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me for 3 days and have not eaten." We are also to show God's love when we help those in need. 1 John 3:17 says, "If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister without, but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in them?" And finally, we are honoring God when we are kind to those in need. Proverbs 14:31 says, "Whoever oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God." Accordingly, as believers, we must do our part to help fight against the epidemic by practically providing for these children. On a national scale, you can give to organizations such as No Kid Hungry or Feeding America. You can also advocate for these children. It's a simple email to your congressman or your senator. On a local scale, one way is to volunteer at a soup kitchen, food pantry, or food bank. Begin a food drive at your work, school, or church. And another program that can be set up is Backpack Buddies. This program helps feed the children, those 22 million children that have reduced or free lunches. It helps feed them over the weekend or in the summer, because fewer than 4 million of those children are able to access any kind of food over the weekend or summer. Which brings me to my conclusion. As we've learned, there are many children facing hunger in America. They are at risk for developmental delays and health issues. It is our God-given responsibility to help these families by practically feeding them through our national and local communities. Mother Teresa once said, "If you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one." She also said, "I never look at the masses as my responsibility. I look at the individual. I can love one person at a time. I can feed only one person at a time. Just one. Thank you."